If you've been watching my videos this week, you'll probably notice that I filmed a bunch of them on the same day. So this is my third video. It's Tuesday. Third mug of tea here. Switched from Earl Grey to green. So I have two Adolescents here. This is a beat-up old Penguin paperback. I ordered online through Abe Books. I didn't spend more than $1 plus shipping for it. But there are actually two novels in here. I didn't realize that when I ordered it. But I have Agostino and Disobedience. So this is a review of Agostino since I read and reviewed Disobedience a couple weeks ago. I have some notes tucked in here, but this is a story about the loss of innocence, about sexual exploration and education, I guess. Our main character is Agostino, and he is a 13-year-old boy who lives alone with his widowed, very beautiful mother. They are spending, it appears to be a summer vacation in kind of a beach resort town somewhere, and Agostino and his mother go out rowing in a boat every day. I think, I forget whether it's morning or afternoon, but they go out every day, and Agostino always feels proud to be seen with this beautiful woman, with his mother. And then a young man comes along and interrupts their daily routine, and Agostino gets jealous. And he starts to realize that certain things are going on, and he realizes that his mother is most likely having sex with this young man. After a confrontation with his mother, Agostino runs off on his own, meets a group of poor local boys, and he wants to fit in with them. So he quickly starts to reject his wealthy upbringing. He pretends to be one of them, but he never quite fits in because early on he makes a mistake that he doesn't realize is a mistake, and most of the boys come to assume that he is indeed a homosexual. At the same time that he's discovering these things about his mother, about this young man, and meeting these boys and losing his innocence, basically, he also comes to realize that he has strange feelings for his mother. She brushes up against him a couple times, and he's kind of disturbed by it in true Alberto Moravia fashion. The interactions between him and his mother are slightly disturbing yet fascinating at the same time. I'm just going to read you a passage from page 14 and 15 in here. This is Agostino out with his mother in the boat. When they were both back on the Pantino, the return journey began. This time the oars were entrusted to Agostino, while the other two sat down on the platform which joined the two floats. He began rowing gently in the burning sun, wondering all the time what was the meaning of the sounds and laughter and movement of which he was conscious behind his back. From time to time his mother, as if suddenly aware of his presence, would reach up with one arm and try to stroke the back of his neck, or she would tickle him under the arm and ask if he were tired. "No, I am not tired," he replied. He heard the young man say laughingly, "Rowing's good for him," which made him plunge in the oar savagely. His mother was sitting with her head resting against his seat, and her long legs stretched out. That he knew, but it seemed to him that she did not keep in that position. Once, for instance, a short skirmish seemed to be going on. His mother made a stifled sound as if she were being suffocated, and the raft lurched to one side. For a moment, Agostino's cheek came into contact with his mother's body, which seemed vast to him, like the sky, and pulsing with a life over which he had no control. She got up and stood with her legs apart, holding on to her son's shoulders, and said, "I will only sit down again if you promise to be good." "I promise," rejoined the young man with mock solemnity. She let herself down again awkwardly onto the platform. It was then that her body brushed her son's cheek. The moisture of her body, confined to its wet bathing suit, remained on his skin, but its heat seemed to overpower its dampness, and though he felt a tormenting sense of uneasiness, even of repugnance, he persisted in not drying the traces away. As they approached the shore, the young man sprang lightly to the rower's seat and seized the oars, pushing Agostino away and forcing him to take the place left empty beside his mother. She at once put her arm around his waist and asked how he felt and if he was happy. She herself seemed to be in the highest spirits, and suddenly began singing, another most unusual thing with her. She had a sweet voice, and put in some pathetic trills, which made Agostino shiver. While she sang, she continued to hold him close to her, wetting him with the water from her damp bathing suit, which seemed to him to exude a violent animal heat. And so they came into the shore, the young man rowing, the woman singing and caressing her son, who submitted with a feeling of utter boredom, making up a picture which Agostino felt to be false and contrived for appearance's sake. Next day the young man appeared again. Agostino's mother insisted on her son coming too, and the scenes of the day before repeated themselves. Then, after a few days' interval, they went out again, and at last, with their apparently growing intimacy, he came to fetch her daily, and each time Agostino was obliged to go too, to listen to their conversation and to watch them bathing. He hated these expeditions, and at last began to invent 1,000 reasons for not going. He would disappear and not show himself till his mother, having called him repeatedly and hunted for him everywhere, succeeded at last in unearthing him. But then he came less in response to her appeals than because her disappointment and vexation at his not coming aroused his pity. He kept completely silent on the Pantino, hoping they would understand and leave him alone, but in the end he proved weaker and more susceptible to pity than his mother or the young man. It was enough for them just to have him there. As for his feelings, he very soon came to see that they counted for less than nothing. So in spite of all his attempts to escape, the expeditions went on. So you have this really weird kind of dynamic, this weird atmosphere of this young teenage boy basically being the chaperone for his mother and this young man, and as he's sitting there, they're basically making out in the boat behind him, and that makes him kind of uncomfortable, but at the same time, he seems almost jealous of this young man. So, Alberto Moravia, a beautiful novel, as always. Not my favorite, but very, very good. I would recommend that you go and pick up some Alberto Moravia. Possibly this one, possibly another one. The Empty Canvas is still my favorite Moravia novel so far.